glad you joined again today. This is Viewpoint, where we discover perspective and embrace dialogue. You can do well to follow us on all our social media platforms. My name is Oluwa Pelubi Awe, and I'm glad that you joined again today. Following the killings in Plateau State, the federal government has made a pledge to end insecurity. This will be our focus on the show today. But first, the headlines. Fubara meets with Tinubu in Aso Rock and keeps mum after visit. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Thursday met with Rivers State Governor Fubara at Presidential Villa in Abuja. Fubara, who arrived at the Presidential Villa at about 5:40 p.m., went straight to the office of the president, where they are currently meeting behind closed doors. The reason for the visit is yet to be ascertained at the time of filling the report. He also did not speak to the press after the visit. This is Fubara's first visit to the Presidential Villa since the signing of the 8-point agreement with President Tinubu, waded into the controversy between him and the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, who is also his predecessor, Nyesom Wike. Rivers State has been embroiled in a crisis following a fallout between Fubara and Wike. The rift between Wike and Fubara split lawmakers in the House, with 27 of them decamping from People's Democratic Party (PDP) to the ruling party All Progressive Congress, a party in whose central government Wike currently serves as minister. The third also saw the emergence of parallel sit-ins, an impeachment plot against the governor, the demolition of the assembly complex, and a gale of resignations of pro-Wike commissioners in Fubara's cabinet. In October, the president and some elder statesmen intervened in the crisis, but it degenerated into a full-blown fight. Worried by the situation, Tinubu again met with political gladiators in the oil-rich South state on the 18th of December 2023, and a truce was signed. At the meeting, which had in attendance Fubara, Wike, ex-Rivers Governor Peter Odili, and some traditional rulers from the state, as well as Vice President Kasim Shettima and the Chief of Armed Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila, some resolutions were made. Among this is that the warring parties agreed that all matters instituted in the court by Fubara and his team be withdrawn immediately. Second headline, Falana leads protest as Lagos lawyers demand probe of colleagues' assault. Human rights lawyer and senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, on Thursday joined other legal practitioners in Lagos to protest the police brutality on lawyers and Nigerians. The protest is coming especially on the heels of the recent detention of a Lagos-based lawyer, Olumide Sonupe, by the police at Gowon Estate Police Station, Lagos State, for 2 days. Sonupe was reportedly hospitalized after the detention by the police on the 30th of December 2023 over an alleged assault of a police officer during negotiations. Lawyers in Lagos protest against police brutality on the 11th of January 2024. Days after the development, hundreds of lawyers who condemned this incident and other recent incidents of harassment and assault by the Nigerian police gathered at the Bar Center of the Nigerian Bar Association Ikeja branch, from where they marched peacefully to the headquarters of the Lagos State Police Command. Briefing journalists in Ikeja, Falana said the 5 branches of the NBA in Lagos met with the State Police Commissioner Adegoke Fayoade, whom he said assured the lawyers that a thorough investigation has commenced into the incident. The lawyers were supposed to drop their petition against police brutality with the Lagos State Commissioner of Police, Adegoke Fayoade. Still, before they could set out for the protest, the commissioner, who got wind of the planned protest, showed up at the Bar Center to dialogue with the lawyers and address their concerns. The lawyers protested his presence, but following the intervention of Falana, they allowed him to address the gathering, after which the letter of protest was submitted to him. Despite this, the lawyers led by Falana and the chairman of all 5 branches of the NBA in Lagos embarked on a protest chanting solidarity songs to register their displeasure at the conduct of the police. Next headline, Lagos government gives conditions to reinstall Lekki gates. The Lagos state government says all gates removed from the Lekki area are intact and will be returned to the various areas of the Residents Association immediately after an amicable agreement is reached on modalities for reinstalling the gates. The Lagos State Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, on Tuesday said part of the agreement must include a provision that the gates cannot be shut before midnight and must have personnel manning them to ensure seamless entry and exit for all residents. He said part of what informed the decision to remove all the gates was to avoid a situation where the state would be accused of cherry-picking streets that had their gates pulled down. Wahab spoke at the stakeholders meeting with members of the Lekki Residents Association alongside his transport counterpart, Oluwaseun Oshiyemi, in the Alausa area of the state. He said it was a very painful decision which had to be taken because the Lagos state government had the responsibility to regulate operations at Lekki Phase 1, which is a government scheme. Next headline, Edo Central PDP adopts Ighodalo as consensus aspirant. The People's Democratic Party PDP in Edo State, Edo Central Senatorial District, has adopted a Lagos-based lawyer, Asue Ighodalo, as its consensus aspirant for the September 21st election. Ighodalo, former chairman of Sterling Bank PLC, is believed to be backed by the outgoing governor, Godwin Obaseki, who has served his constitutional 2-term limit. He hails from Ihoimi in Esa Southeast local government area of Edo Central District, an area that Governor Obaseki wants power to shift to. The party's decision to back Ighodalo followed the Edo Central PDP caucus meeting, which was held in Ihoimi on Thursday. After the meeting, the ruling party issued a statement that was jointly signed by its chairman, Archbishop Anthony Okosu, Secretary Luxin Ogedingbe, and legal advisor Barrister Paul Itwa. According to the statement, the meeting was chaired by Okosu in accordance with Section 20 of the 2017 PDP Constitution as amended. The caucus thereafter directed the special committee to lead Ighodalo and introduce him to all stakeholders in the state as the party's consensus aspirant of Edo Central. Meanwhile, Edo State Deputy Governor Philip Shaibu has accused his principal of being against his governorship ambition. Shaibu is from Edo North Central District, the same district as the ex-governor of the state, Adams Oshiomhole. The deputy governor has been having a running battle with his principal over his political ambitions. Shaibu had earlier asked an Abuja High Court to stop Obaseki and members of the State House of Assembly from impeaching him at the peak of the dispute. Next headline, Fubara's Chief of Staff resigns. Rivers State Commissioner for Information, Joe Johnson, has confirmed the resignation of Chidi Amadi, the Chief of Staff to Governor Fubara. The commissioner said Amadi resigned his appointment at about the same time some cabinet members turned in their resignation letters in December 2023. He did not state the reasons given by Amadi. Amadi was, until his appointment last year, the chairman of the People's Democratic Party PDP in the Ohio Akpo local government area, where the ex-governor Nyesom Wike comes from. His resignation may not be unconnected with the political face-off between Fubara and his predecessor, who is now the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory. Next headline, PDP racks in 175 million naira as Shaibu others pick nomination forms. The People's Democratic Party has raked in 175 million naira from the sales of nomination and expression of interest forms to 5 aspirants for the Edo State governorship election. News sources reported that the Independent National Electoral Commission fixed September 21st, 2024 for the state governorship election. According to a schedule of activities for the election released by the PDP, the Congress where its governorship candidate will emerge will be held on the 22nd of February 2024. Consequently, the PDP on Wednesday in Abuja began the sales of nomination and expression of interest forms to members aspiring to the Edo governorship seat. Cumulatively, an aspirant is expected to pay 35 million naira. With 5 aspirants who have already purchased the forms, the PDP has raked in 175 million naira into its coffer. Daughter of Chief Gabriel Igbinidion Blessing was the first PDP aspirant from Edo to pick the forms at the party's headquarters, Wadata House, Abuja, on Wednesday. Other aspirants who picked the PDP nomination and expression of interest forms on Thursday are the Edo State Deputy Governor Philip Shaibo, Asue Yogalo, Felix Ahabwe, and Aslem Ojeb. We'll go for a short break now. When we are back, we will talk about the pledge of the president to end insecurity. Don't go anywhere. I will be right back. Welcome back. It's still your show, Viewpoint, and thank you for staying tuned. Just days before the gruesome Christmas Eve terrorist attack on 25 communities in 3 local government areas in Plateau State, where more than 200 people were killed, it is instructive that the federal government promised to end terrorism, including insurgency and other criminalities this year. Very sadly, I must say, the Plateau killings did not indicate that the government would walk its talk or was even seriously planning to end the national plague of insecurity. It took the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Kayode, 5 good days after the attack to visit the affected states. By that time, over 200 residents in 25 communities had been confirmed massacred by suspected herdsmen on Christmas Eve. The Plateau State Police Command said that no fewer than 221 houses were completely burnt down during the attack by the gunmen. The attacks were carried out by the assailants in the communities of Boko's, Bakim, Ladi, and Mago's local government areas of the state. Now, the federal government must do everything possible this year as promised to rescue Nigeria and Nigerians from the grip of terrorists, kidnappers, and other criminals who have continued to litter the land with the blood of innocent people, destroy their property, and impede the development of the country, as well as reduce the country to the state of Thomas Hobbes, where life was nasty, brutish, and short. And survival depends on who is more fit, more armed, and more deadly. For about 2 decades now, the country has spent a huge amount of money on counter-terrorism fights by the security agencies. Sources that ought to be deployed to build the economy in many fronts, provide employment for the jobless citizens, build infrastructure that will attract foreign investors into the country, and provide other services are being wasted on crusade to tame terrorists who suddenly sprung up, particularly in the northern part of the country, and started killing and maiming citizens and holding many to ransom for no justifiable reason. Development occurs in an atmosphere of peace, security of life, and property. With the high level of insecurity in the country today, where people are being killed in hundreds, millions of farmers displaced from their farms and places of abode, traders cannot move their products to places or points of sale, terrorists taking and taking control of some areas and imposing levies on residents and investors are now even scared to come in and invest. It will be difficult to make progress. The administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu must realize that not much can be achieved in terms of development. The activities of criminals and what is being spent to tackle them are draining this country of the vitality and stability it requires to progressively move ahead. If our president, if the Tinubu administration must have something to show as achievement at the end of its tenure, insecurity must be effectively and sincerely checked. The Minister of State for Defense, Dr. Bello Matawali, in an interview with BBC Hausa towards the end of 2023, said the Tinubu administration understood the severity of the security challenges facing the country and had resolved to effectively tackle the menace before the end of 2024. Bello, a former governor of Zamfara State, said the current administration had initiated what he described as a proactive approach to combat the terrorists before they strike, particularly in the terrorism-ravaged northern part of the country. He expressed confidence that the measures and strategies being taken would end activities of terrorists, explaining that the approaches included preempting the gunmen in their homes before they strike and crush them. Like you know, this is not the first time the government will make this type of promise. Raising the hope of Nigerians and dashing it at the end in disappointment. Before Buhari became president, particularly during the electioneering campaigns, he vowed, and if you remember, he vowed to end the killings and kidnapping in the country if voted into office. And as a top military officer and former head of state, Nigerians believed he would be able to effectively check criminalities in the country. The promise continued at many forums after becoming Democratic president in 2015. Specifically, Buhari, at the National Security Council meeting held at the Presidential Villa Abuja in May 2020, vowed to end the sorrows Nigerians were passing through as a result of the heightened insecurity in the country. The then National Security Advisor, NSA, Major General Babagana Moguno, disclosed Buhari's declaration while briefing State House correspondents at the end of the meeting, which was presided over by Buhari. At the celebration of Olojo Festival in Ile-Ife, Osun State, Buhari, who was represented by the then Minister of Interior, Rauf Aregbesola, also vowed to end wanton killing of innocent citizens. The then president also promised to end the insecurity scourge, especially kidnappings and killings, before the end of his administration in 2023. While presenting the 2023 appropriation bill at the National Assembly, Abuja, Buhari said, I assure you, insecurity, especially banditry and kidnapping, will be significantly curtailed before the end of this administration. He said, we will redouble our efforts to ensure we leave a legacy of a peaceful, prosperous, and secured nation. Unfortunately, by the time Buhari left office, it was obvious that the government had become seemingly overwhelmed by the activities of all manner of killings and kidnappings across the country. Buhari, who assured Nigerians that he would expose sponsors of the killers, ended up making excuses before leaving office. Since he came to power in May 2023, Tinubu has made a similar pledge. At the palace of Shehu of Borno Al-Haji Abubakar during a visit, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu declared that despite what he described as the ratio of victory over defeat sliding in favor of the federal government in the fight against terrorism, the government would not rest until it sees the end of insecurity. He said that while security would top its priority, it would not be limited to battlefield concerns only. The government must walk its talk. The need for new strategies and measures to combat the insurgency is already very visible. Thank you for joining me on the show today. Do well to follow us on all our social media platforms once again, and see you on the next episode.